Welcome to the Brand Theory Podcast, the podcast for helping you uncover your passion, realize your purpose, and take the aligned action. Together, we're going to prove the theory that when we live our lives on brand, the possibilities become limitless. I'm your host, Danielle Marquesi, branding expert and business coach. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Brand Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Marquesi, where we talk all things branding in both your business and personal life. Today, I'm going to be sharing an Instagram live video that I did last week talking about 4 steps to building a knockout brand and what's involved in that, what that even means, why you want to be a knockout. And I don't mean knockout as a supermodel knockout. I mean knockout as this knockout brand that people are attracted to, that people are resonating with, that people are running to, that people feel this kind of movement starting with your brand and they want to be a part of what you're offering, whether that's your free value or your paid for value, your low offers or your high offers. There's something about this brand that makes it a knockout. And number one, that's also the value that you're giving and the you behind your business. So it's these 4 steps to really compiling a knockout brand. But before I drop that, I want to also officially on the podcast introduce the On Brand Shop. So as we know, I am obviously big on branding here, but branding, to live on brand, really means this concept of consciously and unapologetically making choices from a place of alignment and authenticity in every area of your life. So I've created this shop, and this is something I wanted to do for a very long time, starting as a t-shirt shop. So I've got t-shirts, we've got crew necks, we've got the classic dad hat, and we also have a pillow. And the shirts and the pillow have the definition of the on brand, the concept of consciously and unapologetically making choices from the place of alignment and authenticity in every area of your life. That's definitely will be on the SATs. And the crew necks and the dad hats have just the simple, bold statement of on brand. And I want these products to be a reminder, a conscious reminder to make those choices from that place of alignment, from that place of authenticity, from that place of truth and living through your morals, your values, whatever it is that you believe in. I want these products to be that reminder of what we're doing, of what you're doing, of who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and that choice to, again, consciously making these choices from that place of alignment and authenticity and doing this unapologetically and doing this knowing in full confidence that this is who you are. And when we show up as who we are through our businesses, through our lives, that's when we really attract the results we want, whether that's, again, in our personal lives, if that's a job we really want, if that's a relationship we're looking for, if that's a friendship, a more fulfilling friendship, if that's like the getting into the nicer apartment, the bigger home, yada, yada, if we're constantly striving to reach our goals, but making sure we're doing it from that place of alignment, from that place of authenticity, not necessarily kind of doing things just because we see it working for other people. And that's especially true for us entrepreneurs, is we're not in the business of doing things because they're working for other people. We're doing things because we believe that they're going to work for our businesses, whether that's funnels or email marketing, social media. And I get into this in the episode of talking about the 4 steps here. But this is what I want these products to be. And this is why I created this shop, to be a constant reminder to make that choice to live on brand. So I would love for you to check out the shop. I would love for you to let me know what you think. If there's other products that you'd like in there, I've got a few ideas for other products that I want to add in. But head over there, take a look, let me know what you think. And if anything strikes your eye, be sure to use the code ONBRAND10 for some savings. So without further ado, I will get into this episode.
Hello. So I'll give a few minutes for people to jump on, but today we're going to be talking about what I've been talking about all week since last week, and that is 4 ways you can start creating this knockout brand. And when I say branding, I'll just cover that really quickly. If you've been with me for a little while, you've heard this explanation before, but for anybody new, branding really is the DNA of your business. It is kind of what you become known for. It is those physical features combined with the personality of who you are, the personality that your business starts to take place, and it's the factors that start resonating with your audience, your community, what keeps them coming back, what builds that community, and it's also the piece that resonates with your clients and your customers and keeps them coming back time and time again. So when you run a business, when you're starting a business, when you're starting an online business especially, it's very important to create these recognizable factors so we can recognize things from your brand, whether that's your voice, your tone of voice, or physical design elements with how you're talking about your programs and everything in between. And there's a lot of different ways that you can create this brand around your personality. I'm a big believer in creating a brand that equally represents who you are. We're not in the business of kind of faking it till we make it. We're not in the business of pretending to be someone we're not. We really want to make sure our businesses are aligned with our missions, our values, our morals, and especially as coaches, we're teaching something that we believe so strongly in. So we want to make sure that when we're coming across and we're teaching these things, we're showing up as ourselves. There's no time to be somebody fake or somebody different than who you truly are. And I truly believe that when we show up as ourselves, truly authentically aligned through our business, that's when we see the sales we want to make, when we see the finances we really want to reach. So we hit those income goals, we hit those client goals, and we start attracting the clients that we actually really want to work with rather than those in-between clients. So everybody deserves to be a knockout brand, and everybody has the ability to be a knockout brand, but we don't really know what that means, right? When I say knockout, sometimes people think, well, I'm not a model, and it has nothing to really do with your likes or your looks. I'm sure all of you are beautiful. We're all beautiful, right? It's really more about the attitude that you're bringing, and that's kind of how you create that knockout. So becoming a knockout is totally doable by anybody because we all have unique qualities. So the first step to really doing this is the foundation. So I want you to think about your foundation as just like a house has a foundation. It will crumble if it's not strong over time. It may not happen at first, but eventually that house will fall and it will crumble because it does not have the support to support all of that weight and everything that comes on top of that. So your foundation for your brand and your business is definitely those programs that you're offering or the products that you're offering, those building blocks of your business that you want to start offering, the social media that you decide to do, the Instagram, the Facebook, the LinkedIn if you're over there, the Clubhouse, all of that kind of stuff starts building the foundation because that's how we're spreading the word that you're open for business. People don't know that they can buy from you until you tell them, hey, I've got something that you may want. So that foundation is compiling all these things and compiling where you want to be seen and compiling, really getting to know kind of who you want to be working with, your ideal client, and putting yourself there. And it doesn't always have to be this big over the top launch of, okay, well, I'm going to show up on a live video twice a week and I'm going to do 16 posts a day. It doesn't always have to be this whole big plan right away. I believe that we can really build a foundation step by step by step. So I want you to ask yourself these couple questions, and these are the questions that I really need you to answer to ensure that you have that strong foundation. Because what your foundation will allow you to do is keep building and building and building and building on top of your brand and on top of your business. So every time you launch a new program or every time you put out a new product or every time you offer something new, your business and your brand will be able to withstand this growth and withstand the next level when you have that strong foundation. And what I mean by that is we don't necessarily want to hear crickets when you put out a new program, right? But if our foundations are strong, that's when we're not going to hear the crickets. And that's when we start compiling this bigger audience and this bigger community that eventually turns into paying customers and clients. So I want you to ask yourself these couple of questions to establish if your foundation is strong and, again, can withstand that growth. Do you know what the mission of your business is? So, again, what are you here to do? What are you here to teach? How are you here to help your clients? What transformations are you offering your clients? And, again, that could be through programs, offerings, freebies, podcasts, YouTube channels, or product, or I think I said products already, or through products. Anything that you're willing to offer solves a solution. If somebody's looking for a sweatshirt, your sweatshirt solves their problem of their search for looking for a sweatshirt. What is the bigger picture you're trying to achieve? So beyond that, what's kind of that next level? What's that bigger mission, that bigger goal? In 5-10 years, what's kind of that impact you want to start creating, or what's that thing you kind of want to leave behind, or what's that kind of movement you want to start creating? And we'll get into more of that later, but just start pondering these questions. How do you plan to achieve this impact? You don't have to know all the details of this. And again, I believe the full plan of how we're going to achieve our dreams and our goals will reveal itself over time as we become ready for those next steps. But for now, this can be through your programs, services, products, etc. Think about the key principles you're trying to teach your clients and your audience, and that will answer this question. So I'm sure most of you already know these big foundational pieces, but we just want to, it's always good to do this kind of check-in to make sure, again, it can withstand that next level growth. And I also want you to ask you, what's your story thus far? And what did you originally get into business for? Why did you do this? Most of the time we get into business because there's a personal story attached. If we start a clothing brand and it's, let's say, a faith-based clothing brand, that usually means something to us. That's closely connected to our faith. It's closely connected to something that's important to us. A lot of coaches start their business because they have a mission, they have a lesson to teach, they want to help their community, but there's also this piece where they probably want to travel the world and they want to leave their 9-to-5 and they want to create something that is all their own. So whatever the reason, and there's no right or wrong answer, but what this does is it creates that personal side of your brand, and that's a huge piece of that foundation. When we can connect to the human behind that business and the human behind everything that we're seeing online, and we can look at you as a real person, somebody we can connect with, that builds what I call a like, trust, know factor. When we feel like we can know you, when we feel like we could go grab coffee with you or a virtual coffee or something, that's when, again, I trust you and I'm more likely to opt into your offers, whether that's free or paid for. So it's very important for, again, that foundational piece to begin building that like, trust, know, and sharing a little bit about your personality, that human side behind the business is really important. And that's kind of goes into my next question of what makes your brand relatable. What are those fun, unique things about you and your brand and your personality that set you apart from others in your field? Now, you and I both probably love coffee. That's not necessarily a fact that's going to set me apart, but this is where I want you to start thinking of, how do you talk about your programs? How do you talk about your favorite sweatshirts? How do you talk about where your coffee is from? Or what are those conversation starters that you can start implanting in addition to talking about your programs, services, and everything in between? I know this was like some loaded, deep questions, but this is exactly what that foundation is for, and that's when it becomes rock solid. So after all this foundation is really planting the seed of establishing how you want to be known as a business and a brand, and begins to shape that impact that comes a little bit later. You're making an impact now, but that bigger scale impact that you want to create, that I asked you about before, that's when you really start shaping that. Those are the planting seeds now. Moving on, number 2 is your brand presence. This is when we start to think about how you want to communicate everything that you crafted inside those foundations. So this is definitely the more physical parts of your brand, as well as establishing that thing that defines your brand, and that kind of is your it factor. And I have a whole training on your it factor as well. If you're interested in that, let me know. But your it factor really is comprised of your signature programs, products, or whatever you offer, but also highlights that trait that keeps you and your audience and your clients coming back time and time again. And oftentimes that is you. You are oftentimes your it factor combined with everything else that you offer, because you are the only one who can teach or offer what you offer in the way that you do. I'm just going to say that one more time a little bit slower. You are the only person, you're the only you in this world, right? There's nobody like you. Even if you have a twin, you have your own personality. So you are the only person who can offer what you offer, your programs, your services, your products, in the way that you offer. So there are plenty of people who do what I do out there, but the way I do it could be slightly different simply based on my personality. And my personality and the way I teach it will attract my right ideal client, and this person over there who is doing the same thing will attract their own ideal clients based on how they show up, how they teach, and their own personality. So that, again, becomes your it factor, and that is all part of step 2, which is building the brand presence. So reflect on these questions and ask yourself, is there any room for kind of enhancements in your brand? So if we're kind of playing it small or playing it safe and keeping this it factor kind of hidden, it's time to let it shine. It's time to show up at the next level, whether that's through social media or that's through your email marketing, or if there's something that you've wanted to implement in your brand to really take it to that next level of how people are finding you and how people are seeing you or how people are learning from you, then this is kind of the time to do it. So what does your brand and business have that no one else has? And remember, this can be you, but it also can be your program. So say I have a branding program out and you also have a branding program out. The way we do it and how we talk about it is going to be slightly different. So we want to take out those highlighting factors that are going to make it different in addition to learning from us individually, and that becomes the thing that you really want to hone in on. In addition to talking about the transitions that your programs will provide, we want to make sure that we're highlighting those factors that are different about everyone else who's trying to make it in the online world. You are your own unique brand, and it's time to highlight that through your it factor. So there are pieces of your brand that you've been meaning to update. So if that's your logo, your colors, your website, Instagram aesthetic, these are all things that when formulated to reflect you and your brand will help elevate your brand and your business. And lastly, what is your brand voice, and are you showing up like the expert that you are? So if you're holding yourself back, or if you're saying to yourself, I've been meaning to do an Instagram live, I've been meaning to do that post about that thing that's maybe a little bit vulnerable, but people really need to hear it. I've been meaning to start the podcast. Are there things that you've been meaning to do that you know are going to possibly push your business forward, elevate your brand, elevate your community, elevate your outreach that you've kind of been ignoring? These are the times to just reflect on that. And next, it's time to take the action. So this is where step 3 comes in, and I like to call this lights, camera, action. So this is really when we start taking the action on everything that you've compiled in your foundation, everything you've compiled in step 2 in your brand presence, on reflecting on where you are and where you want to go next, and it's time to take the action. There's 1,017 methods out there on how to the right ways to build your business or to elevate your business. From funnels, SEO, social media, marketing, email marketing, the list goes on and on. There's Clubhouse now, there's Reels, there's Instagram Lives, there's Instagram videos, there's everything between the earth and the sun that is just overwhelming at times. So this is where we want to think about the place in your business with choosing these methods that are on brand to you. So if, let's say, for example, SEO, you want to implement that and you want to use that because you know it's powerful for your brand and you want to get that aligned, and you've heard Pinterest is really good for SEO and you've been wanting to do that, but it kind of makes you want to gouge your eyes out or it just feels like torture to you. Ask yourself if you can outsource this. If you can't outsource this right now, I would even go ahead and make a plan and still do outreach to people who do this for a job and just see how much it would cost and try to budget that out for now or for the future, because I guarantee when you make the plans to do these things that you don't want to do and to eventually outsource them, you're going to achieve that goal. But kind of digressing here, choosing methods that are on brand to you. So a lot of the times as entrepreneurs, we feel like we have to do everything. We feel like we have to be on every social media platform 17 million hours a day. We feel like we have to, if we don't get our whole to-do list done, we failed for the day, and the to-do list just keeps growing and growing and growing. There are times where we wake up at 1 a.m. because we just want to research that a little bit longer, or we're working past 8 and 9 and we're starting early in the morning. We get into this business most of the time because we don't want to be working 12 hours a day, but there are those periods where we feel like we have to hustle a little bit, and we kind of are close to, if not, reaching that point of burnout, and that's what we do not want to do. So when I say choosing methods that are on brand, while eventually you can hit all of those strategies, so I'm not saying that you can't. If that's what you want to do, go for it, but you're feeling like you're trying something just because you're seeing it work for somebody else, I want you to really take a look at that, and I really want you to take a look at what do you believe truly is going to push your brand forward. So if you're somebody who loves to be creative and you love to create art and design and you love to create, customized animated Instagram stories, and that's kind of where you want to be, or you really love showing up on video, then maybe your methods are going to be focusing on Reels and TikToks and showing up on video on stories and showing up on Instagram Lives and just sharing about your day and making that fun. If the strategy part and the funnels, you like them, it's okay to put focus on there a little bit, but if you really, really hate them and you're just forcing yourself to do it, there's always going to be things that are uncomfortable, or there are always going to be things that we don't have to do or that we don't want to do. For example, I wish we didn't have to pay taxes 4 times a year. If you have an LLC, that's kind of what you have to do. So I wish we didn't have to do that. And I wish I didn't always have to feel like I need to beat the Instagram algorithm. So now I'm just showing up on Instagram because that's what feels fun to me, and showing up when I feel fun. The thing is, if we're forcing ourselves to do something, and again, there's always going to be things we don't want to do, but I want you to recognize it recognize when things are comfortably uncomfortable. So recognize when you're pushing yourself a little bit into the fear or into the unknown because you're kind of slightly, maybe subconsciously excited about it. You're excited about what it could possibly mean for your business, what it could possibly mean for your growth, what it could possibly mean for that next level. I really want you guys to reflect on if there's any comparison going on. So if you're looking at her over here or him over there, or somebody who's doing something the same business as you, or a similar business, they're teaching the same thing, and you're comparing yourself saying, well, she's over on Reels and she's on TikTok, she's on LinkedIn, she's on Pinterest, I should be doing all those things. But that's okay if you're using that for research of maybe kind of, okay, I'm looking to elevate, what could I add in? But if you're getting that feeling of almost like anxiety and overwhelm, I want you to think about, well, am I doing this because they're doing it and because I think that's what I have to do, or am I doing this because I truly believe that this could work? There's a strong, strong power in our belief, and if we don't believe things are going to work, or if we're really just doing it because we feel like we have to, it's not going to give us the results we want. So I want you to really take a minute to reflect on what you're currently doing, what you've been meaning to do, and if there's anything that you kind of can let go, outsource, or take that energy and put into something that's a little bit more exciting for you in this current moment. Moving on here, number 4, and this is the last point of building a knockout brand, is the chance to make the impact. So this is where you begin to make that impact and turn your brand into a movement. By relying on your foundation and using your it factor and creating a one-of-a-kind brand experience for your clients and your audience, you begin to become known as the go-to for that particular industry. So think about the next level that you want to achieve in your business. Do you eventually want to be doing speaking engagements? Do you want to have a killer podcast? Do you want to have a YouTube channel? Do you want to have a product shop? Do you want to add these different entities in your business that are going to help spread your bigger message and your bigger mission that you are trying to communicate to people? What's that bigger scale of what that looks like? So for me, adding in a t-shirt shop was something that I've wanted to do probably since I started my business. And, for fears and different reasons, I felt like I wasn't ready, didn't have the community, and blah, 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 all those silly things that we convince ourselves of that isn't the truth. But I got myself to where I am now, and it was the right time. And also to go back on that point, the right time is always now. If you're feeling that intuitive pull to do something, go for it. But this was another way I wanted to begin to spread the message of living on brand. And on brand is obviously relevant for our businesses of building a brand, but it's also making that choice to make choices in our lives that are always on brand. So making choices that are in alignment to what we believe, authentic to us, authentic to our personalities, and not doing things just because people are saying that's the right thing, or not doing things just because the crowd. It's like being a follower of your own faith or your own leadership and choosing things that really light you and yourself up. Because when we make those choices and we live authentically to what we believe, that's when we start to attract those friendships, relationships, and just things that are going to light us up a little bit more, and when our lives in general kind of elevate. That was a little bit of a tangent about being the message of on brand. But long story short, that's why I chose to add this shop into my overall brand, because I want to spread that message in different ways. And I want people to feel like when they put on a sweatshirt, when they put on a t-shirt, when they buy one of my pillows, that they're becoming part of this bigger collective, and they're becoming part of this bigger mission and this bigger message to live on brand. And I want it to be that constant reminder of, okay, I'm putting on this sweatshirt, somebody calls me to go to this party that I really don't want to go, I'm feeling kind of obligated, that it's okay to say no because it's not aligned with what you want to do. Again, there's always going to be things that we don't want to do. There's always going to be obligations, family obligations that we have to go to. But this is the constant reminder that I want people to have to say that it's okay to choose you. So here are some examples of things to create that next level impact. And again, that's kind of a podcast, a YouTube channel, blogging, writing a book, being more consistent with your social media posting, a product shop, hosting events, whether that's Instagram Live or in-person events eventually. These can be huge scale things like book tours and writing books, or these can be a bit more smaller, like being more consistent and showing up on your social media and maybe talking about something a little bit different than you talk about. If you talk about your product shop all the time, but you want to start creating that mission of or that goal of talking about eco-friendly products, you can get on and talk about why you started your business, why you chose your products, why this is important to you, and create the kind of movement of people who believe in the same thing. Create that community of people who believe in the same thing. So these things, while they can be, they don't always have to be monetarily driven. I want you to think about these things that can, again, kind of create that belief and instill that belief in others, or just be that person who is brave enough to kind of speak out about something or speak out about your mission and what you believe in, and give people the opportunity to join you in that and join you in your overall movement, your overall journey. So I know this is a lot, but these are the 4 main things that really help create your brand and to elevate it to become a knockout. So just to review, that's number 1, your foundation, and kind of making sure that you have these strong elements in place to be able to build upon that and have it be a stable and steady growth. Number 2 is your brand presence and what that kind of means and how you want to be showing up, and really figuring out where your ideal clients are hanging out and where you want to be eventually, and making sure that you're showing up and sharing your it factor with the world. And the 3rd point is that lights, camera, action part, and making sure that your actions you're choosing are on brand to you, and recognizing when things are comfortably uncomfortable. And last but not least, what are you going to do to elevate yourself and your brand presence and everything you compiled inside your foundation to highlight that it factor and take that to the next level, so it creates that next level impact that lasts for years to come. So again, I know this is a lot of info. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to let me know. You can send me a message. But if you're really looking for some extra help and you're not sure if your brand stands up to be a knockout, I am offering free branding audits, which basically is a 30-minute call. You tell me your goals, you tell me what you're up to, and I kind of dive into your brand with you. I take a look at your website, I take a look at your Instagram, I take a look at anywhere you are right now showing up through your business and your brand, and I can make a few suggestions of how to adjust things here and there, or I can give you the green light that you're good to go of how to elevate that brand and really make it a knockout. So if that's something that you're interested in, there are limited spots available for that, so definitely send me a message. And I'm here for you guys. So anything you need, please let me know. But everybody has the capability to be a knockout. So just stand in your power, stand in your truth, and let your it factors shine. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk to you guys soon.